Okay, we have a quite the compelling episode today.
Yeah.
And I'm very excited about this for a few reasons because Yanni has put on his Sherlock Holmes investigative cap and has done some deep dive into the Toyota maintenance program
Yeah.
and what you need to know if you're a Toyota owner.
Yeah.
Before we get into that,
Yeah.
find the who.
Yeah, the Who. They were a hell of a band at one time, but right now, even they are interested in finding the best car price. And the best place to find the best car price is at www.findthebestcarprice.com, where Jeff and his team have put together all the manufacturer to consumer incentives all in one place by make and model. That's www.findthebestcarprice.com. Tell Jeff and his team that Zach sent you.
Okay, let's dive into the actual super interesting stuff. So Yanni, I know you experienced this in your personal life. Your wife, if I'm not mistaken, drives a Toyota Sienna, correct?
Yeah, 2017 Toyota Sienna.
And so can you kind of give us the backstory here? Like what happened? What digging in have you done, and what have you learned that our audience, especially if they are a Toyota owner, and we'll maybe do some other brands in the future as well, like what should they know from what you've dug out and learned here?
Well, as we've talked about before, I'm proactive about maintenance on some fields, doing the fluid changes a little bit more often, where the manufacturer for Toyota recommends in the owner's manual, as it states right here, that the service should be performed under normal conditions, the oil change every 10,000 miles. We've been proactive about it, doing it every 5,000 miles, because I don't think that the oil needs to go that far, to be honest with you. But anyway, so as I see that she's coming due for her 50,000 mile service, and I think the first advocation here is going to be to read your service manual and review the information. It's so informative into helping you being financially wiser about how you spend your money. But as we've gone into looking at what her next service is coming due, I kind of don't always recall everything, and I'm reading through more information to make myself just more knowledgeable. And there's these special conditions where Toyota recommends to do oil changes more often. Now, Toyota gives you 5 service visits as a new car purchase, and 2 of the service visits under normal driving conditions are an oil change and filter, and that's at 12 months or 10,000 miles. But at the 5,000 mile interval is a free tire rotation and a bunch of inspection items. But then they have a clause where it states additional maintenance items for special operating conditions. Special operating conditions are driving while towing, using a car carrier if you're taking long trips on a regular basis, things of that field. The second clause, which I think is a little bit more applicable to some Toyota owners in states like Texas or Maine, is that repeated trips of less than 5 miles in temperatures below 32 degrees, or extensive idling and or low-speed driving for long distances, such as police, taxi, or door-to-door delivery service at 5,000 miles, replace the oil and filter, period. It doesn't say recommended. It doesn't say, you should check it and see the viscosity. It says at 5,000 miles, if you're doing hard, heavy driving, as an Uber driver, as a Lyft driver, or if you're driving in freezing temperatures for 6 months out of the year, you should do an oil change every 5,000 miles.
Wow.
But they don't cover it.
And now in your situation, if I remember correctly, you told me, because I remember when you were digging into this, you called me and you said, okay, I dug this up. So I then called the dealership because I wanted to get some clarity from the dealership. And what did they tell you when you contacted the Toyota dealership service department? So
the Toyota dealership service department in my area specifically said, we're not in a special operating conditions climate. I said, that's fine. Climate-wise, I understand, it fluctuates, hot, cold, whatever it may be. But if I was a Lyft driver, let's just say, and I am doing that door-to-door driving, I'm also, doing the delivery service while doing Lyft during the pandemic, driving the car hard, they recommend the oil change, the maintenance, the manual, the Holy Bible maintenance.
Yeah, they don't recommend it. They say do it.
They say do the oil change and filter. The Toyota dealership said, no, it's good for 12 months or 10,000 miles. I was a little baffled on how a dealership is making maybe the recommendations based upon what they see, but they never ask the questions, or am I a Lyft driver? They're not considering my specific case. And I don't know. I think that they are not advocating, for me as a client, even to say, hey, listen, here's an upsell to help you maintain your car better.
And just from my memory of when I worked at the Mini dealership, and I would drive from Arnold to Towson every day, and that I would consider harsh driving conditions because, well, on the freeway or the Beltway, it's all bumper to bumper when you go early in the morning when everybody else was going to work. So it's you were sitting there, you were idling, you were cursing, you were you were thinking to yourself, why don't I get a job closer to home? Or I don't know, why don't I just retire? But if you're doing a hard commute every day, I think that would fit into harsh conditions.
I get where you're going with that. Yeah, I think Yoni's making the same point.
Yeah, I mean, I understand where you're going with it, Ray, for sure. We're looking at, normal driving conditions, a few situations of hard driving conditions, but the extreme conditions, I want to play more towards, the Lyft drivers, the Uber drivers, or the people that live up in Maine. But the fact that the dealership or the manufacturer is stating that, you should service your car in this condition, we're not covering it within the maintenance timeline that they're giving you here. And then on top of that, the dealership itself, and I reached out to two dealerships, actually. I reached out to a dealership in Texas and a dealership in Maine. I called them, and they said once a year, every 10,000 miles. And that was after I emailed them, and of course, no reply, because who am I? I'm Joe Schmo from Maryland. I just don't think you're getting the full service based upon what the manufacturer states. And then I question, well, if I'm not maintaining my car to the book, which is like reading stereo, am I then voiding a warranty in a situation? I question these things.
And that's kind of why, because I appreciate where you're coming from. If you do have a hard commute, but if the manual explicitly says taxi driving, and that manual, so it's for a 2017 Sienna, probably written in 2015 or 2016, right? And Uber, Lyft, DoorDash, Uber Eats, whatever. I mean, that is all very, very relevant nowadays. But they're pretty much explicitly saying if you're doing that type of work, you need to change your oil every 5,000 miles. And I know you found another one with another. I mean, there's all sorts of examples of the book reads differently than what
most dealerships will tell you.
And then if you're buying the new car and it comes with a maintenance program, you think, okay, great, I've checked that box. But depending on your driving conditions, you might not have, and then it could void the warranty. This is convoluted.
Let me ask Yoni a question that nobody has even discussed prior to us starting to film. How many times, Yoni, have you seen a factory service representative say, no, we're not going to cover that repair because the customer didn't replace the oil as frequently as it's said in the manual based on harsh driving or whatever?
So there's a lot of information to that. So if the engine had failed and you see that there's a sludge buildup in the engine, right? Mm-hmm. So in that situation, the manufacturer representative will ask, of course, for the service records.
Sure.
Now, in the fields that you and I are very familiar with, our oil change intervals are once a year every 10,000 miles.
Yes.
And there isn't any special clauses. They don't say to do it every 5,000 miles because I think that they've spent the time to design the car around, the European market that already has those kind of conditions possibly.
Yes.
Maybe the cars are designed differently. I don't want to say better or worse, but just differently. But yeah, in situations, if you haven't maintained the car to the factory recommendation and they see that and you can't show it, and if it is every 10,000 miles, but that it should have been 5,000 miles, maybe the representative is not as educated about the maintenance plan or the maintenance program, then therefore they've got every right to decline any engine clause if they want to.
And even with a third party, I'm thinking, because we sell the AUL products, and it definitely has a clause in there. It's if you don't maintain your vehicle, to the book, we can not approve a claim. Now, obviously, we went with AUL because they have a good reputation, they're customer centric. But still, I mean, the contract is the contract, and so I'm sitting here thinking to myself, if I don't watch this video and know to go back and double check the book, and I just trust the service advisor when I call up, and I don't think about, the way that I drive or maybe some of the specific recommendations, not even recommendations, the specific stated ways to maintain my vehicle from the manufacturer. If I'm not my own advocate about that, I'm actually risking a considerable amount, which is why you look to professionals, i.e. the service advisors at a dealership. And that's what makes this so interesting. It's like, this is your personal life. You're just getting 50,000 mile maintenance for your wife's vehicle. But then you also can come on here on the YouTube channel and you are a service advisor. And it's like, the juxtaposition is just crazy to me, because how the heck was I supposed to know that? Or if you're watching this video, how the heck are you supposed to know
Well,
that?
and he's a service advisor, and so, if another service advisor doesn't know it, how's just an average
These
customer
programs are
supposed to
so convoluted.
well, there's a certain obligation on the customer's behalf that most customers just don't pay any attention to.
Yeah, do you pay attention to it though? It's like, I understand it, but also like you have to live in reality. We're all busy. I mean, we've got families, we've got kids. I don't have either. Well, I have family. I don't have kids. Do I have kids?
I don't know. Do you have kids? Do I have any grandchildren you don't know about?
I don't know. But I guess the point I'm trying to make, and then Yoni chime in here, but it's like, yes, you can always come back to, I signed a contract, so I understand what my obligations are, but you generally look to professionals to help. And it's very interesting to see here an example of, from one subject matter expert, Yoni, to another at an actual Toyota dealership in Maine, saying, no, don't worry about it. When that could really be putting Yoni and his wife and their finances at risk, because they're not, maintaining to the T, for example.
Yeah, especially for the long term itself. I mean, you hope to, drive your car when you're purchasing it, 100,000 miles, just to say on average. But here, it may not be the mechanical failures on the early side of things, but I think by the lack of maintenance, it's the long-term mechanical failures that you're going to experience if you are in a, special driving condition and you haven't maintained the car based upon the engineers and the designers and the legal department that wrote this manual. And therefore, you could be saving yourself money by proactively spending a little bit of money more in the beginning.
You know what this kind of reminds me of?
No, please share.
When you're in the F&I office and the F&I manager says, yeah, it's a bumper-to-bumper extended warranty, right? Yeah. They're just saying, like, they're just giving you the shtick. It's the bumper-to-bumper. Like, this is the equivalent of that on the service side. It's like, oh, yeah, just get your oil changed, every 10,000. It's like, it's just the answer. When in reality, you peel the onion back one more layer, and it's like, okay, there's a lot more to unpack here.
The answer can be more complicated.
Like, what does bumper-to-bumper mean? Why are you saying 10,000? Yeah.
I've never seen a bumper covered by anyone.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. So why do they call it bumper-to-bumper?
To sell the
They don't
things.
cover the bumpers.
Hey, listen, I think we need to offer brake light warranties. And this way, once you see your brake lights, you're out of warranty.
Let us know in the comments down below if you want us to investigate a few of the other manufacturers, like special driving conditions or recommended maintenance, not recommended, prescribed maintenance schedules. If you find this informative, let us know, because we'll do some of the digging, because, I mean, to me, this is hugely informative, and it's something that I think no one knows about. I mean, how could you?
Yeah, nobody ever really discusses it. And let's face it, nobody reads their owner's manual, and nobody reads the little service manual that you get. I mean, they spend millions upon millions of dollars to print these books that nobody reads. Because
and gives it to them for free.
Because they know free $30,000, $40,000, $50,000.
Exactly. But it's like when I was in college, and it's you get
no, the books weren't free in college.
No, they weren't. You had to pay for those.
Pretty damn expensive, actually. But nobody reads them, and that's the really sad part.
So let us know in the comments below, like, if you want us to dive into more of maintenance schedules and what comes with buying the new vehicle. Or I know there's maintenance program upgrades as well that you can purchase. Like, let us know, because I personally find this incredibly compelling. I'd imagine our audience does too. And Yoni, I'm really glad that your 50,000 mile maintenance came up, so that you had to do some of this digging.
Yes.
Me too.
Yes.
So no, absolutely. I think it's fantastic. Like we talked about, I'm happy to dig into other brands, and reading the owner's manual for sure. If not finding topics that you may think may be interesting to you, please do it. Look what it's given me.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
All right, guys, another one's in the books. That one felt good. That felt pretty good, yeah?
Yeah. Well, the unfortunate thing, if it's in the books, nobody's going to read it.
No, you're quick.
For an old man.
Thanks, Yanni.
All All right. Thanks, Ray. Thanks, Zach.
Thanks, Yanni. See you soon.
Bye, guys.